Does that fix
Oh,
it, you
okay.
guys? What? Oh my goodness, my genius son. Thank you, Nicholas. Oh, I think it's working. Can you shut the door, honey? Woohoo! Oh my goodness. Crazy. Thank you, Bug. Oh my god. Okay, I thought that Jay-Z was you know, muting me. Granny Annie, you're so cute. So yeah, you guys got to see my shirtless son. At least he's cleaning his room. But yeah, I didn't really want him to come onto my camera without his shirt on, but at least he's a son and not a daughter, right? Okay, it's working. I see you and Nikki, but no volume. OMG. Okay. So, you guys, let's just start over. How long have I been on? I've been on for 10 minutes. Haven't said anything. My guy has long hair too. You're so cute. Your kid or your hubby? MC3PO. Yay. Oh, I'm so happy. It's so funny when I have trouble like that. It just really like makes me appreciate being able to come on live because sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed. Like today, I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed to come on live just because it just didn't feel like there was enough time to do it. And then when I finally was getting down and dirty, it wouldn't freaking do it. Am I blocking that blue light, that backlight I'm trying to add to my scene? Oh my goodness. So yeah, it was like my head was in a vice grip and it kind of still is. I'm just really happy to be on. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me, people. Honey, so did son did an eighth grade dropout. Now Jehovah's Witness, daddy of six, trimmed. Wow. Yeah, so that's my 17-year-old who is a senior in high school. And he's the one I was talking to off screen yesterday because he missed school and his school goes until 3:30. And at 3:31, he interrupted me on my live to ask me if he could have his cell phone back and if his girlfriend could come over. And if he had just asked for his cell phone back, I would have given it to him because the deal is when he misses school, he's not allowed to have his cell phone until school's out. I don't know because it's a long story. Anyway, but then the fact that he asked for his girlfriend to come over too, as if he wasn't sick, I was just like, no, and no, and I'll deal with you after I'm done with my live. And I think he thought because I was on live that he could just kind of mow over me and get whatever he wanted, because I'd be like, just go away. I'm on live. Leave me alone. Room cleaning. Mom and dad going somewhere this weekend. No, it's just so disgusting. Like he just stopped doing anything, taking care of it. Like, I don't know, a month ago is just crazy. Absolutely insane. Teens are so well. I've been through it. I'm going through it. Okay. It's just nonstop action. You guys, thank you so kindly for being my hardcore crew. Let me take out my notes and talk about the cases. So I seriously think that somebody like blowed up my system because I was just so unfiltered yesterday. Squirrels, I don't know if you had a chance to review that. It's just like an hour and probably 15 or something like that. It's just like a regular length one. And let me look now. I'm curious because my brain is just fried. Um, and of course, I don't expect anybody to keep up with my videos. I mean, if you want to watch them, great. I'm not going to I'm happy that you're here. You don't need to watch yesterday's, is what I'm saying. But for those of you that were here, I just kind of felt like I cut straight to the chase a little bit more than I normally do because I don't know, it just seemed like the right thing. Because it's almost the end of the year and this is the year of truth, right? I mean, normally I try to speak the truth anyway, but yesterday I was just kind of zigzagging all over the map and trying to keep a thread through it. And I thought that I did all right actually when I reviewed it myself. But it was a lot of crazy stuff. So let's see my video from yesterday. I'm just trying to see how long it was. An hour and 11 minutes and 56 seconds. So basically an hour and 12 minutes. So yeah, talking about the twins, the Shawns. The Shawns are the twins. Luigi, but I think it's Luigi, I think is how you're supposed to say it. And then Hannah. And then, I went straight into the political stuff too. But I'm thinking of all of those topics, the thing that is probably the most taboo is the Carters, Shawn Carter and his garbage, because he is getting exposed and he's freaking out and he's trying to shut everybody down. He's scrubbing the internet, you guys. It's really hard to find some of the stuff about him. It's one of those things where it takes you to all these dead end roads, sort of like when you look up Ivana's deceased ex-husbands. It takes you to brick walls, basically, and then it probably infects your device with a virus, right? Squares on fire, except 14-year-old boys shower for hours. Yeah, they do. We don't even need to think about what they're doing in there. That's taboo. We don't talk about that kind of stuff on the internet. So yeah, my hot water tank runs out in about 20-minute mark. So I'm thankful I have my tank set what it is. Otherwise, yeah, he'd be in there for hours. Yeah, I mean, probably $10 or $20 showers. Seriously. Did LeBron James really quit the NBA? I think he did. I think he's freaking out because he's next. I mean, all of those who were dirty with the Diddy are next. I think that I don't think it's the Queen Bee that's subject B in that lawsuit against Diddy and Jay-Z. I think that that's J-Lo. I think that that's why her and Ben Affleck were fighting and got a divorce this past year. Personally, in my humble opinion, so let me do all my stuff. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. I'm extremely grateful to have my YouTube channel and to have my viewers and my subs and to have my mic working today because it is Friday the 13th, which is my lucky day, which is probably the only reason that it's working. And because I just can't give up. Like, it just is nuts. When I should give up, I just can't. I just won't. Like, I keep telling myself, just give up. And I just, no, I'm going to keep fighting. So anyway, luckily I had my IT crew because I couldn't get it going on my own. And that kid, he knows everything. He is very advanced with some of these things. He's the one who's a mechanic too. He's a car mechanic. He had a 3D printer from a very young age. He is just a little not so much with the common sense, but really, really bright with electronics and engineering types of things. So yeah. Ain't no party like a Diddy party, right? That's what LeBron should never have said, and he wishes that he could take back, and that's gonna be getting him in tons of trouble. Okay, so my brain so fried. Please make sure you're still subscribed. If you are subscribed, if you're not, please just consider subbing up. It's very helpful. try to keep blocking that cobalt blue light that I added in. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like my channel. Turn on your notification bell to ring. Although I apologize today, this is probably the 7th time I've come on live. And finally we have sound, and it's not from my freaking cell phone. There's nothing worse than doing a live from your cell phone. I know some people, that's all they've got, but I pity them. I do. I mean, it's like when I'm desperate and I have no other means, I can deal with it, but it is really hard. Really, really hard. So yeah, I think he quit the NBA. I think that, he had an injury and he's saying that he just needs some personal time. And I'm thinking he's probably going to run to a country that doesn't have any extradition, like that guy. Uh, what was the name of Sharon Tate's Polanski? Sharon Tate's husband, who was in the exact same pickle. Wasn't it statutory? Was it Roman Polanski? Let me look that up. So he had been found guilty, and then he could never be prosecuted because he wouldn't come back. He's 91 years old. He's still freaking alive. Oh my goodness. Convicted offender of, the SEX. Let me see what this says. Wikipedia. Well, no, let me just do Roman Polanski charges. But he's never been extradited. That's why he went to the country that he went to. Was it, he's French? No, he's Polish, and he went to France. So April 12th, 2023. So he was arrested in Zurich in 2009 and was under house arrest for several months while a decision was made on his extradition to the USA. Oh man. So this was his charge for violating someone. March 10th, 1977, 43-year-old director Roman Polanski was arrested and charged in Los Angeles with 6 offenses against Samantha Gailey, now Gamer. She was 13 years old. Wow. Yeah, this is very relevant for LeBron, probably. It's obviously very relevant for the twinning Shawns. 13 years old. See, when I was 13, I was living in Southern California, and there were a lot of creepers hovering around me, and I just had a lot of good instinct, guardian angels, and some sheer dumb luck, and good people around me too. I got to give it to the people around me who helped me skate out of those situations. So 6 offenses against this 13-year-old girl: unlawful intercourse with a minor, RAPE by use of rugs, perversion, sodomy, lewd and lascivious acts upon a child under the age of 14. So under the age of 14 is an even bigger deal, at least in California where this happened. Furnishing a controlled substance to a minor. See, these are all the same charges. At his arraignment, Polanski pleaded not guilty to all charges, but later accepted a plea bargain whose terms included dismissal of the 5 more serious charges in exchange for a guilty plea to the lesser charge of engaging in unlawful intercourse with a minor. Polanski underwent a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation, and he was placed on probation. However, upon learning that he was likely to face imprisonment and subsequent deportation, Polanski became a fugitive from justice, fleeing to England and then France in February of 78, hours before he was due to be formally sentenced. Since then, Polanski has lived mostly in France and has avoided visiting any countries likely to extradite him to the US. And so you guys know that he was married to Sharon Tate and she was pregnant with his child when she was victimized by the people that worshipped Charles Manson, right? Mulholland Drive, isn't that where that happened? I know it was in the Hollywood Hills. I think it was Mulholland Drive, but I could be wrong about that part. Anyway, what a creep, man. He's how old? 93? A million? He's really old. Sorry, I don't mean to be insulting to other people who've made it to be that old, because that is quite an accomplishment too. So this one doesn't say exactly how old he is. That was where I was a minute ago. Um, 45-year-old abuse case. It's a 45-year-old case. What a disgusting freak. And how did he survive the Manson attack? I think he wasn't home. He was like off in another country filming a movie. But you got to wonder, like, coincidence or orchestration. And so he did this to this 13-year-old in his home when she was 13 in 1973. What a jerk. What a disgusting piece of crap. How old did I say he was? 93? I think. Born August 18th, 1933. So he's seriously almost 100. He's like 91 or 92. I can't do math. Not when I'm on live anyway. I'd have to shut down the live, and I'm not going to do that, not after what I've been through. Age 91. Okay, that's what it says. What garbage. What absolute garbage. So Sharon Tate's and him, they were only married for a year, from 1968 until the slaughter in 69. So prior to that, he had been married to Barbara Lass for 3 years. And then in 1989, he married Emmanuel Signer, and they're still married. Emmanuel, is that male or female? Emanuele, maybe that's female. Okay. Oh, man. What a horrible person, though. Like, oh, yuck and yikes. Yeah. Okay. He's on a break, Beck says. He got called out by the MMA fighter yesterday. MMA, I'm not sure what that is. Is that like a do I need to Google that so that my brain can function? MMA, what is that? Yeah, that's mixed martial arts. Okay, cool. Nice. Thanks, Shan. I did not know that that was a thing, mixed martial arts. So like kickboxing, is that like kind of like boxing but with kickboxing involved? That's exciting. I love kickboxing. You guys know I used to do kickboxing. Let's see. He didn't quit. He's on a break for his ankle foot. Well, that's what he says. Personal time. I think the timing is sus, though. I have a feeling he's going down with Diddy and Jay-Z somehow. Well, he won't if he does, if he pulls a Polanski, right? Um, might have to change her name from J Lo to Pedo. Oh, girl, you didn't make that up, did you? I mean, maybe you did. I'm just curious. That's a little too much. I mean, that's a good one. That's super super astute. That's gross. That's really gross. And yeah, for anybody to just, even if they didn't do anything physically, for them to not intervene or at least report it afterwards, if they were too scared to do anything during, which could be understandable if they were in a frozen shock phase, right? I mean, a lot of people freeze up in situations like that, like they don't know what to do. Um, there's stuff all over X that he resigned from the NBA today, but you can't trust everything on the internet. So we'll see what comes out in the next week. I know, and especially X, man, that guy that owns that is such scum. I mean, he loves perpetrating fake news, in my opinion. Um, yeah, like, instead of calling them tweets, since it's not Twitter anymore and it's called X, some people call the posts excrements. I think that's apropos. I don't know if that, where you stand with that, Shan. Oh man, a genius tinkerer. And see, years ago when he was really young, he said he wanted to be the next Elon Musk, but now I'm sure he wants nothing to do with that douchebag. I mean, it was so pathetic. He has 12 kids and he spent Thanksgiving with his bromance buddy BFF at Mar-a-Lago. Like, what about your 3 baby mamas and all your children? What about them? Like, ugh, that's just so distasteful, in my humble opinion. Um, did you see Colby Covington came out and asked him about the party? No, I don't know who Colby Covington is. Is that the mixed martial arts fighter? That's the dude I'm talking about that called him out directly. Um, most excellent. I asked Grok. Didn't quit yet. LOL. I love Grok. I've never even heard of Grok. I'm gonna guess that that's like Snopes except better, because I've never trusted Snopes. Like the first time I learned about it and read their response to things, I'm like, who are these people? They're obviously trying to whitewash everything. Yuck and yikes. Directors in those days, casting couch, it was what it was. Sick still. Yeah, yeah. And Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, Nasser, Diddy, JP Miller. I mean, all of these guys, it's like, man, control yourself. That's so disgusting that you're just like, can't keep it in your freaking pants, man. Just keep that MF in your damn pants, please. Sorry, not sorry. It's just ridiculous that these people can't control themselves. Like nothing is ever enough. They've just got to be so disgusting, degrading, and power tripping. MMA is the best sport, that and skateboarding, in my opinion. Well, I was really into the whole breakdancing thing that Ray Gunn ruined for the entire world. I was so excited about that being a new Olympic sport. And I really think it was her personally that took it out. Like the second it hit the floor, man. What a wacko she was and is. I just thought about the pedo thing just then. LOL. Well, you should patent that and sue anybody that uses it without giving you credit, because that is genius. And that's what Ray Gunn would tell you, is that you own that. Just slap anybody with a lawsuit that tries to do a somersault because you own that. Let her hope she didn't partake in any watching of the gross things. Well, there was a woman mentioned in that lawsuit that Diddy and his bestie twinning Shawn Carter are in. There was two men and a woman. The two men assaulted the 13-year-old while the woman watched, is what it says in all of the documentation. So, it might not have been her, but she was Puff Daddy's date that night to the Video Music Awards. So it's a good possibility that it was her. You know, people are saying it couldn't have been Beyonce because she wasn't together with her Shawn yet. But that doesn't mean she wasn't at the party. That does not exclude her from, she probably was at that party, the after party for the VMAs in 2000, right? So let's see. Beyonce showing her baby bump. That was in 2011, 2 days after that Kathy White passed away. Yeah, 2 days or 2 days before. 2 days before Kathy White passed away, she showed off a baby bump. I think that was the VMAs, right? But that was 11 years later. Anyway, is my phone making noise? Stop. I've had enough of the electronic device trouble today to last me for a long time. Okay. So Jay-Z, Mr. Carter, tried to get custody of the son that he denied was his. So I was reading you guys an article that was just written about that today when I was on my live on my cell phone a few minutes ago, and I was reading it from my laptop. So that son, who's about 31 years old now, Jay-Z has always denied that that was his kid. So the kid's mother passed away 5 years ago. And I think the reason that Jay-Z denies that that's his kid is because the mom was 16 when she got pregnant with him, with the kid that's 31 now, that's still trying to get Jay-Z to admit that he's the kid's dad. But I don't think he'll ever admit it because the kid is the evidence of the statutory. But what really got me, the reason I'm bringing it up, what really got me twisted and got my panties all in a wad, was that Jay-Z tried to get custody of this kid when the mom's health was failing. He tried to get custody of this kid that he denied was his, but the grandmother got custody of the kid. And my thought, my opinion, my, conspiracy theory, humble opinion, allegedly, is that maybe he wanted to destroy the evidence, that he wanted to get custody of this kid because he was already married to Beyonce. And maybe he wanted to get custody of that kid so that nobody would ever know about that kid. Like, that just freaked me out. Like, why are you going to fight for custody of a kid that you deny you have anything to do with? So I'll say it again and again about Hannah Kobayashi from Hawaii. Her and Luigi both having their connection to Hawaii. It's interesting, isn't it? And that they both were, at the same time gaining all the attention of social media and mainstream media, basically. So I really feel like we need to see a proof of life for Hannah Kobayashi. Allegedly, she's in Mexico, and allegedly she finally contacted her family, right? Or was it that somebody else contacted them and said she's fine? But I don't feel like that's enough to know that she's fine. Like, where's the proof of life? Where's the proof that she is fine and that she's not being trafficked? Because even with the story as we know it, right? And who knows what parts of it are true, what parts are untrue. If her ex-boyfriend coordinated the fake marriage between her and Alan, that's trafficking right there. So she was already a victim of trafficking simply with being involved in a grift of a marriage that was coordinated by somebody else, in my opinion, anyway. Maybe not legally, but I would think legally too. But yeah, her text seemed very sincere, that she was concerned, that she was fearful, that she was devastated, that she had all of her money stolen, that she had her identity um, like rubbed out. Like, what was the phrase she used in her text? Do you guys remember? Um, Frozen shock phase, in my opinion, is not 8 hours and doesn't involve cleaning. Yeah, exactly, Granny Annie. I always say that sarcastically, the frozen shock phase. That was so stupid. Grok is part of X. Grok is the guy, the athlete from the mixed martial arts. So many American men, professionals, go to Thailand for their pedo desires, sick doctors, etc. Right. And they also hang out in Florida, right? I mean, they hang out in every state. We got a bunch of them right here in Ohio, especially Columbus. But yeah, I was talking today in one of my lives that failed about Madeline Soto. So Madeline's best friend that was at her party is interviewed by the police, and I guess Gavin Fish, that content creator, and Paula Plunder are kind of the only two maybe that have covered it so far. These um, maybe their body cam audio tapes or something like that of the best friend being interviewed by the police, by the Kissimmee police. But there's all this background noise and there's like a lawnmower or something going on, and it's so irritating. I mean, you can still hear what they're saying, but it is so disturbing to me that a police officer wouldn't just confront somebody mowing their lawn and say, look, I'm interviewing a witness on a very important case. He doesn't even have to say that it's homicide of a child, right? um could you please just wait a few minutes before you make all that freaking noise? I mean, come on. Like, why wouldn't a police officer make that request? It almost, and I know this is probably not accurate, but it almost makes me think that the police officer doesn't care if there's the interference, like almost like they're trying to cover something up, but I don't really think that. It just kind of makes my mind wander in that direction. Okay, you guys, I've got some horrifying news for you from the Watts case that's really, really old, and I only came across it like a week ago. Are you sitting down? Are you sitting down? Maybe you already know this. Help me out here. I think I found it on a 4-year-old video from the channel Geneva. Remember that channel? It's a great channel. They did a lot of Kylie Rodney's stuff. I know Shan knows that channel. But I want to tell you this bit of information that just makes me want to cry and kick and scream and rip some people apart with my bare hands. Are you ready? And again, tell me if this is accurate. Tell me if you've already heard this, because I think it gets pushed aside. I've even tried to ask Kelly if she could confirm it, but I don't think she's had a chance to let me know. You know how the girls in the Watts case were dumped in those thief hatches? They were shoved into these thief hatches that were, they try to say they were 8.5 inches diameter, but they were more like 8 inches diameter. Like they had scrapes and tufts of hair, and I mean, it's horrifying. So they were shoved into these thief hatches on top of these oil drums or silos, or I don't know what you call them, oil tanks, I guess. And Chris stated that he could hear that the oil levels were different in the two tanks because he could hear when they splashed into the oil. I mean, all this major, major, major trigger warning. It gets a lot worse. It gets a lot freaking worse. I was always concerned about the temperature of the oil, but the temperature of the oil might not have been anything other than ambient temperature. I don't know. I always figured before I researched it that it was like scalding, scalding hot. But anyway, if you're sitting down, if you're ready, I'm going to tell you what I found out in this video. I think it was that channel. It might have been something else I looked at right before her video or right after her video. But if Geneva's a her, I don't even know. So, and it's probably in the discovery. So maybe it's been talked about. Maybe people don't talk about it because it's too much. It's TMI. One of the drums of oil was 9 feet deep. The one that Cece was in was 9 feet deep. And yeah, they had to take the little girls out of there after draining all the oil. And they had to be so careful. Like they couldn't even take pictures because the spark of a cell phone could make everybody blow up. I mean, the whole thing is like so dangerous. They're even in fireproof caskets, you guys. Like they had to be like all sealed, and I mean, it's just unreal. And Chris knew all this stuff because that was the field he was an expert in. And NK knew all this stuff too because she was the safety expert. So they knew damn well. The vat that Bella went into, the larger girl, the older girl that was like 4.5, I think she was going to turn 5 in December. And she was tall. Are you ready? Are you ready? This is horrifying. I might just burst out in tears. The amount of oil was less than 1.5 feet, you guys. Her little body was dropped 20 feet once it was shoved through that thief hatch. And he probably, or whoever shoved her through, probably had to push her with the heel of their boot. And there was probably a dent in her skull because they asked very pointed questions about that when they visited him in Wisconsin. They'd asked him about that in the beginning too, like the night that he finally confessed to where they were. Graham Coder asked him in the interview room, and then asked him again however many months later that was, like August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So about 6 months later, again, real specific. You didn't have to like push them in there with your boot heel or anything, did you? Like he tries to say it all casual. And Chris is like, oh, no, definitely not. They just slid right in. It's like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. And really, the depth of the oil in the tank that Bella was in was on the record officially 1.4 feet deep. I was infuriated. Like it's not bad enough already. But that would have sounded different than just a splash, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm just absolutely horrified. Did you guys know this? Is this news? I am so sorry if it's news to you. And I just think it's important to know the truth because, again, I don't think full justice has been served in the Watts case. I think that anybody that was involved before, during, or after as an accomplice or an accessory needs to go down too. So effing disgusting. And the DA needs to go down too because he messed up that case big time. Oh, and another thing, the bags, the garbage bags that Chris said were to cover Shanann's head and feet, she was already rolled up in a sheet. So her head and her feet would have been covered in the sheet. The black bags were very likely for the precious little babies that were shoved through those thief hatches. Where are you guys at? Geneva is good stuff. On that interview, it felt like the cop tried to put the microphone in a better spot. Was a hard interview. Yeah. I'll have to check out Gavin Fish's covering of it too. It's just, you know how much I try to avoid Maddie Soto stuff because it just hurts my heart so much. Just like what I just shared with you. It just crushes me. I could literally burst out in tears right now. The oil tanks, yeah, they would have to have been forced in the size. If you think about it, I hate thinking about what that sick F did to those little babies. So, he says, again, trigger warning, big time trigger warning. He says that he held them by their arms, but I think part of the information that he disclosed that isn't shared publicly is that he had to hang them by their arms so that he could get their shoulders through, so that he could make their shoulders more less wide. It was absolutely disgusting. And yeah, and then that when they came out that there was so much slippage that, I mean, what held them together basically was not on them anymore. And that's why I always questioned if the oil was super hot and that was what was going on there. But it's so freaking toxic. Those fumes are so toxic. Like just opening up the thief hatch and just the fumes are just crazy. I'll link that Geneva video in the description because they do a really good job of showing how strong those fumes are. Like you can literally see them. You can literally see them. The oil tanks, yeah. Oh, yeah. NK and her buds did the deed for CW, in my humble opinion. Well, it just makes me so sick. Her freaking dad interfered with the investigation. She interfered with the investigation. She destroyed evidence. And I think that the police department and the DA, they interfered with the investigation, and they should all be held accountable. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Which is why I bring up that case about Pam Hupp sometimes, because the DA in Pam Hupp's case finally got, I don't know if she got charged with legal charges, but she finally got replaced in the election, and then the new guy opened the case and was able to prove that Russ, what was his last name, the husband of Pam's best friend that she unalived, oh, it's driving me crazy. Betsy Faria was the friend. So Russ Faria was the one that they convicted. And it was really just a crooked judge, crooked DA, and the crooked Pam Hupp. Like, he didn't have a chance going up against them. So, yeah, it was great that he was finally released. And then he married the woman that Pam Hupp tried to abduct when she shot the mentally challenged man in her house that she tricked into coming to her home with her, that she offered $1,000 cash to. So she had tried to trick this woman into the same thing. and the woman got spooked and called the police. And then she later met Russ Faria, and they got married. And I think they're still married. I think they just got married like a year ago or something. Let me see. It's pretty cute. But that whole case was so sad. You guys have got to check that out if you haven't yet. So he served 3 years, and who did he marry? So Leah Askey was the prosecuting attorney, or the DA. March 22nd, 2024. Or was it 2022? Let me see what it says here about when they got married. Not the twist I was expecting my life to take. Alleged Pam Hupp victim reflects on marrying Russ Faria. Carol McAfee, who was once allegedly targeted by Pam Hupp to frame Russ Faria for 2 red rums, married him instead. This was in Troy, Missouri. A lot has happened in Russ Faria's life in the past 13 years. He was convicted of his wife Betsy's red rum and spent 3 years in prison. And then his conviction was overturned in a second trial. And now he's a newlywed. So when did they get married? And so Hupp was only charged in 2022. And Carol Faria, what was her last name before she married him? It's a really good miniseries, you guys. Renee Zellweger, I think, produced it, and she stars in it. She plays Pam Hupp really well. So Carol McAfee, I wonder when they got married. That's what I want to look up real quick. And Carol McAfee and Russ Faria. So did they only get married in this year, or in March of 2024? It's hard to say. Let me see if I can figure it out before I quit fubbing you guys. So yeah, the thing about Pam is the series. I've talked about it many times. I was so glad that it was recommended to me because I wasn't going to watch it. I thought it sounded really silly, but a friend of mine that I trusted said, watch it. It's really good. And she was right. My goodness. Maybe it doesn't have their wedding date. No, I don't think it does. You would think they would have that, right? We'll figure it out. Maybe one of you knows. Anyway, let me get caught up with you guys. Sorry about all that. NK is involved. I just can't pinpoint how is probably what you meant, but that might have been a Freudian slip, that you can pinpoint how. No, I think it was her idea. I think she orchestrated it. I think she organized it. I mean, she was the one who knew everything about the safety and about Survey 319. So her and Chris probably created a situation out there for this. Like, that was probably not a real thing. And then Troy McCoy and that fire stick, and I think there's a lot more to that. Yeah. Her making that strangled hand gesture, Shanann, is what makes me think that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And just like all of the information, I have not poured over the 1,000+ pages of discovery like a lot of the content creators have. I've worked closely with Kelly on a lot of lives and just discussing the information, and she probably knows the entire discovery like inside out and backwards. Same with Amber Truth Seeker. She's awesome. I love both of those channels, both of those content creators. And a lot of people have covered that case. I also really liked Armchair Detective. There's a lot of good channels that have come from that case. I think Plunder came from that case. Zav Girl came from that case. Obviously, Watts the Obsession came from that case. I don't know if Amber Truth Seeker came from that case or if she just covers that case. But my point, what was my point? That all of the information in there's a lot of information about Shanann's. I think she wore like an Apple Watch. Like her steps were counted, like she had her cell phone on her at all times. And the second she walked in the door, there's no more steps of hers, you guys. Like that's why I think she was ambushed in a blitz attack the second she walked in the door. Like when you see her coming out of Nicole Atkinson's car, walking up her driveway up to the porch and taking her key out to get into the house, I think that she was rubbed out immediately after that, like seconds later. And my opinion is that the little girls were already gone. I think that Amber Truth Seeker has the same opinion about the little girls. I think that Kelly believes that they were snuffed out at the oil field or the site. But I think that one of the motivations for lying and saying that they weren't deceased yet was because Chris was trying to, in case they ever figured out that NK was at the house with him, because I think she was, he was trying to make out like that they were already, or that they were still alive when they left the house. So I don't know. Like I kind of think that she helped him dig, somebody helped him dig the pit that they put Shanann into. I mean, yeah, it's sand and yeah, Chris is a big, strong guy, but he wasn't like sweaty, and it takes a lot of time to dig a big hole. It takes a lot of time. Like it's not as easy as you think it's going to be, even if it is loose sand and even if you are a big, strong guy. And the whole thing with like the rake, the head of the rake being out there, and when he said, we had shovels and a rake, we had shovels and rakes, but he said we, and then he tried to play it off like he was talking about like we the employees of Anadarko, but I think that's where he slipped up, was when he said we. Anyway, let me get caught up with my people here. Yeah, this too much. Agreed. Granny Annie says, news to me, animal. Nicole turned him into an animal. I think she helped. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today and why I was so hellbent coming on is the Titanic with an S, not a T, aspect of all of these cases. Talking about the white parties all the way over to NK. I think that there's a lot of Titanic stuff involved. And, I say Titanic because it's one of those words you don't want in your feed. You don't want, to be flagged. So that's why I say that. Billy, darling, oh my goodness. Nice to see you, my dear. Dad thought her princess found her prince just for red rums to attain it. Super dad. Yeah, really. So disgusting. Oh my goodness. Well, then there was that whole story about NK having plunged a sharp edged object into somebody's back when she was a teenager, you guys. I'm pretty sure that that's authentic. I'm pretty sure that all the information on that has been verified. But she was a minor when it happened, or was she 19? Does anybody know? So I'm thinking she was a minor when it happened, and that's why it's not um, real apparent, because things that crimes that are committed when people are minors don't get, um, you know, they're not public the way crimes that adults commit are. So it's like they're given a second chance to get their lives together, basically. But look at what happened with this one in particular, right? Rich folks think they can do whatever they want. It's 100% true, in my opinion, Billy Darling. So I'm just so excited to be on. It's already been an hour, and I have so much in my notes that I haven't covered yet. So let me get caught up and then look at the notes. NK and her barbecue was with the girls, knowing they would not be talking to mom, maybe. Right. Um, so yeah, I think that she was over at the house with the girls, and yeah, I think that when Chris sent the photograph to Shanann of the life-size Barbie doll with the white kitchen tall plastic garbage bags laying over the life-size Barbie doll on the love seat, I think that was very ominous. And she got that sent to her, I want to say August 9th. And then the homicides happened on the 13th. But when she got that, I think she responded to him, or she posted it on social media and said, I don't even know how to respond to this. Creepy AF. But there was so much controversy of, oh no, he didn't take that picture and send it to her. She took that picture and sent it to him. It's like, yeah, right. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. C3PO says CW said the girls came back to consciousness. Yeah, right. There was something he fumbled, so he had to come up with that scenario. Pretty sure he's a liar. Yeah, 100%. He has 3 different versions of what happened, and I don't think any of them are really even close to the truth. But yeah, that I would imagine there's a lot of mental illness going on there too. Like that they probably were haunting him that night, that he probably thought that they came alive and that they were talking to him and saying things like, is what happened to CC going to happen to me too? Because they were probably done at the exact same time. If they weren't done at the exact same time, the older one probably would have been the first to go, don't you think? Like, he's not going to do what he did to Cece in front of Bella. I mean, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, they're not going to take chances with these people fighting for their lives. Like, yeah, they're little kids, but they still have a strong survivor's instinct. And all they would have to do is get out the front door and run, right? Or scream really loud, and the neighbors might hear and call for help or come knocking on the door. No, I don't think that any of them were given half a chance to scream or to run. No, I think that the 2 little girls were rubbed out before Shanann got home, and then they were put in the basement in trigger warning, in probably in like those giant Rubbermaid types of bins, because the dogs were hitting on those in the basement. And there was a ton of vivint activity on those basement stairs that Chris could never explain away. Like he had the lamest response, like, "Oh, I don't think I worked out that morning. I don't know, maybe I worked out that morning." When they questioned him about it again in the interview in Wisconsin. Um, yeah, the white parties, etc. Billy Darling, hey, hey, love. Fred Field, hola, no notification. Oh my God, Fred, weren't you here the very beginning of the very first one that I started with no sound hours ago? When did I start my first attempt? It was right around 3 o'clock, and now it's 6 o'clock. So that was 3 hours ago, and I've only been on live for 1 hour. So 2 hours of like pulling my hair out, and I'm just happy to be here. MC3, yes, and sound like it was a circus for him with three at once. Yeah, right. Like no one aliver is going to try to take on three at once. Like it's ridiculous. Maybe while they were asleep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Probably while they were asleep. Good point, Billy Darling. Absolutely. That's probably exactly it. C3PO says, I can hear you. Well, I'm glad you can still hear me, but I'm just curious why you're saying that now, my dear. I'm so glad that you can. So let me look at my notes and see what else I wanted to share now that my brain is back on track for the most part. So the stuff about the Luigi Managoni, is that how you say his last name? I think it's Mangione. Um, and his mother reporting him missing to the San Francisco Police Department 2 weeks before the homicide in New York City. I just don't understand him getting captured the way he got captured, allegedly, and then having all that stuff on his person, having his, I started to talk about this earlier, his little tiny, what they call a manifesto. I think it's like 2 paragraphs. Like that's not a manifesto. That's like a sticky note. And a weapon that was just like the weapon, like maybe not the weapon that he used, but a weapon that was just like it, and a silencer and some other super incriminating stuff. It just seems like a little too much evidence. Like this was a really smart criminal, if he is indeed the criminal. And sure, he certainly seems like it. It's sort of like BK when they first arrested Brian Kohberger in the Idaho 4. I fell for that completely. And then one of the first red flags that I perceived was that they had mountains and mountains of evidence that they were making public when they were saying that there was a gag order on the case. It's like, well, then why are you making all of this public? And it's just kind of too much evidence. Like it just seems like the whole thing with Luigi is kind of a little too much. I don't know. Not to mention how much Luigi and Brian Kohberger look alike. Similar facial features, similar eyebrows, similar ages, similar academic backgrounds, similar like I don't know, looks. They're good looking, but they're also kind of odd looking in a way too. Both real physically fit, both caught in Pennsylvania. I mean, I don't know, both in the same type of academic, higher education. It's not that much of the population that has master's degrees and doctorate degrees. They both had master's degrees. Kohberger was working on his doctorate degree, but he didn't have it. But they both had worked as assistant professors, basically, which is a big deal. Like you really have to be well put together to do that. Like there's usually a lot of competition for those positions. So sorry for the loud laughter in the background. We don't want laughter around here, do we? So yeah. So there's this cult and I was spelling it wrong in my live yesterday. I kept saying C-L-U-T because, my dyslexia. So instead of saying the C word, I would spell it, but I was misspelling it. So C-U-L-T. And the C-U-L-T is N-X-I-V-M. Are you familiar with that? Because that seems to be a common thread with a lot of the horrors that we see in these cases. So I don't know that much about it, but I've heard a lot of people talking about it on YouTube. So I'll look into it some more. And yeah, that Versace dress that J-Lo won to the Grammys, 7 months prior to the VMA Awards, where the 13-year-old was attacked, that she might have been witness to. That was, the Grammys were February 23rd of 2000. And then I want to say the VMA Awards might have been like around September 1st of 2000, somewhere around there. And what else? The Illuminati, you guys. That's kind of like the whole thing with that NXIVM. Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Again, my love and appreciation to you guys for sticking it out. What a wacko setup with getting my live going today. Man, are they like having a party in the next room or something? I guess I wasn't invited. Okay. I thought I didn't need to tell them to quiet down, but I'm going to be wrapping it up here shortly in a minute anyway. We know nada about the shooter at the DJT rally, like nada. Right. Crooks, Thomas Crooks. MC3PO, I don't know what you're talking about. I asked if you could hear me. Really? Just a minute ago? You're killing me. Sometimes I wonder about you, C3PO. I often wonder about you. Don't take that the wrong way. Take it in a good way. So, yeah, did you know that Elton John is Eminem's sponsor? There's a little factoid for you. I did not know this, but I was fascinated to find that out. So Elton John is speaking out against the legalization of Joe, both in the US and in the UK. And being in recovery himself, he says it's his opinion that it's addictive and that it leads to other things. And from my own personal experience, I would have to agree with that. But I think it's really cool that he's Eminem's sponsor. I wish one of them would be my sponsor, right? Anyway, not too many people speak out against the legalization of the substances. That was the one thing that I was in direct opposition to the Democratic ticket in this last election recently. Like, I was not down with their stance on that at all. So I don't know what the winner of the election, I don't know what their plan is with that, but hopefully, I mean, I just think it lends itself to abuse too easily, especially with little kids, especially with all the gummy bears and all the candy. And it's really dangerous. Like, little kids can overdose on it. They get really sick. They have a lot of ER cases with little kids binging on that stuff, not realizing that it's laced with anything, basically thinking it's just gummy bears or just brownies or whatever. And it's such a strong um, strain, and their little bodies can't take it. And it's very, very dangerous. So that really concerns me. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks a million. I'm so happy I was able to get this live out. I'm so happy that you guys are here with me. Don't forget to hit the thumb on the way out if you're still here and you haven't hit it yet. And thanks for watching. Thanks for helping me through this crippling live. Like, what a dumpster fire poop fest that was. But I could swear that somebody did something to make that happen. And I'm thinking that my live yesterday was just a little too unfiltered, to put it nicely. Um, I'm really concerned about all the effery. I'm really concerned about the gaslighting, the amount of information coming out right now, like all of this, like earth shattering news on all these cases, all at the same time. It's not usually like that. A lot of times there's like no news on any of the cases, right? Like for weeks on end. So it's exhausting. Makes my head spin. Anyway, peace out. Sending you light and love. Have a really good weekend. I might not be able to come on again until Monday. Have a great couple of days, and it is one of the last weekends before the big holiday coming up. So I would say avoid the malls if you can. They're going to be madhouses, and probably avoiding the roads too because of that. Stay warm. There's a lot of cold areas right now. Make sure you're well nourished and well hydrated, and just most importantly, just be yourself and just be. All right. Thanks a million. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support and kindness. Love and light. See you soon.